Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 2 of our long-awaited pocket shawl. Very, very exciting. Now part 1, if you haven't done part 1, I've left a link to part 1 in the more section down below or the description box down below. Head over and complete that part and then join us back here. When you finish part 1, you would have been like that all the way up to there. We are going to start that and continue all of that. That is what part 2 will consist of. So in the meantime, what you will need for part 2 is you will need the hook that you've been using all along, so you don't change that. You need your scissors for this one, definitely. You'll be changing yarn, and you need a sewing, darning, weaving needle. And you need what I call clasps and clamps, but they're actually bulldog clips. I keep forgetting the name in the middle of the tutorial and just call it a clasp or a clamp, but they're bulldog clips. You'll need about 4 or 5. They go along here. If you don't have these, just use stitch markers, all right? And of course, you will need your stitch markers. They would have already been attached to your piece anyways. So there you go. All right, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started creating part 2 of your beautiful pocket shawl. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, in part 1 where I left you off, I got you to head off on your own and complete 14 sets of your pattern, or 28 rows if you will. And don't let me tell you, it took a long time. It really did. But in the meantime, what you should have is completed your 14 sets or 28 rows all the way across. So what we're going to do, and again if you have more that's fine, is cut our cream. You give yourself a long tail for weaving in end. Yeah. Only if you're changing your yarn. If you're not changing your yarn, you're going to continue with us because we're changing back to the grey. All right. Or the koala in this case. Yeah. So grab your new thread. No, we're not finished with our sets yet. We will be soon. I promise. Some stage in the next 20 years. No, I'm being very naughty. Sorry, guys. I'm very naughty. So let's go back to the very last stitch that you created with your single crochet in the back loops. Now, just be patient with me, guys, because my piece is really big for the table. Take that last stitch out. You're going to redo it, okay? So you're going to start your single crochet in the top of that stitch like normal. Bring that up. There we go. Pull a loop through and there's your 2 loops. Grab your grey or your new thread. Pop it over the hook and, oops, try that again, and pull that loop through like so. And again, what I want you to do, like we did earlier when we changed our piece, our colours, we grabbed our threads at the back, the tail of your cream, the tail of your koala at the back, hold on tight and just chain 1. Yeah, turn your piece and you're going to do a standing double crochet in that same stitch right there. Yeah, let me move this, sorry guys. And there goes the scissors. It doesn't matter, we'll get them in a minute. Pop your hook in that stitch right there. Yep, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Once again, we're going to do that side loop or side base loop. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both those loops, grab your stitch marker. All right, and then because it's the beginning of the row, you're going to pop it in the same stitch, pull a loop through, go into the back loop of your second stitch and pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, 2 loops, yarn over, last 2. That's it. Now you know what you're doing here. You're going to continue your pattern of the 2 rows. All right. All I wanted to do was show you how to change your colour, which you know anyway, but to show you anyway, for the sake of showing you. To change your colour, once again, you are doing the same stitch in the back loops only. All right. So what I want you to do, I don't want you to watch me do this. It's going to take like a million years, yeah? So what I want you to do is exactly what you've been doing all along, but only repeat the last 2 rows you did for 1 more set. So you do 1 row of linked double crochet in the back loops this way, chain 1, turn, single crochet in the back loops this way, get to this blue stitch marker right here, meet me back here, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so what you should have done is your linked double crochet in the back loops only, chain 1, turn, and then single crochet in the back loop only. Now we're going to cast off this area. What you want to do is single crochet in your very last stitch like normal, chain 1, pull a loop through, grab your scissors and pull that tail through. Now what I want you to do, still on this edge here, let's bring that out so you can see what I'm doing. That's about as far as it goes. Run your fingers all the way along the edge. Run your fingers. You'll know where it is anyway, and I'll tell you why. Because we want to attach our brown to the other side, but we want to attach it to what I would like to call the same side as the way the brown is facing here. Even though it might look a little wrong there, but it's the same side. All right, so what I want you to do in that same stitch marker, pop your hook in the stitch. Remove your stitch marker and grab your brown. Alrighty guys, I had to transition that a bit because the yarn got caught under the shawl, as it does, right? So grab your yarn, excuse me Mary, get it right, and pull that loop through like so. And just grab the tail, passing it forward. We always pass it forward to lock it into place so we can chain 1 and single crochet over the tail, like so. Just move the tail at the back again, pop your stitch marker in that stitch, like there. Now initially we should be putting our single crochets in the back loops only, but to marry it up with the other side so it lifts up in the front, we are going to pop it in the front loop only. All right, so let me show you where you've been placing yours. You've been placing your hook in that back loop right there, but now we're going to pop it in the front loop. All right, so pop your hook in one loop only, the front loop, and do a single crochet. All right, single in your third, if you think about it, in the fourth, all in the front loops. What that's going to do is have your stitches pulling forward, and I'll show you that in a moment. It's going to be the opposite side of what we have on the other side, all right? So I'm going to do another, 6 more, 7 more, this will do, that's plenty. So having a look at your piece, it's starting to pull up, yeah? Have a look at the other side, it pulls up in front, all right? So what you're doing here, how can I bring this out a bit further? Let's see, I think there's a little bit more, that's it, good. So see how that's turning up on this side? That's the look we want to go for here. If we were to put it in the back loop, it will start to turn down the other way. But putting it in the front loop, your single crochets will turn up, which will marry the other side. All right, so all I want you to do with this piece now is single crochet in the front loop only, all right? So there's your stitches. Let's show you again, all right? There's your stitches right there. That's the back loop that we've been going in all along. You're going in the front loop right here. Not in the stitches below, be careful, that's a row below, okay? This is where you need to be. Front, yeah, front, and front. All the way across, get to the end of the row where we finished off. Meet me there once you're done, and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of the row, and you should have done a single crochet in the front loops of each stitch all the way across until you've got to the very last area here, where we are going to put a single crochet in the last stitch, and then we're going to start working, why is it so close, working along this side edge, okay, and then that will be classified as the right side of our work, but we'll talk about that later. Don't need to worry about it yet. So let's just pop, we're so far away now, a single crochet in the very last stitch where your stitch marker is. Pop your hook in, let's remove that stitch marker. And if you've got a tail here, or you've weaved it in, that's great. But if you've got a tail here, just pass it at the back of your hand for a minute and complete your single crochet like so. All right, so now what you're going to do is face your base piece towards you. Okay, and all these threads that you see here, if you haven't got them, that's good, but if you have, these are going to be crocheted over now. All right, so what we're going to do, because it's going to be the inside of our pocket, all right, first thing we're going to do is pop a chain 1, yeah, and a single crochet back in that brown row, so right into the whole stitch. So you're actually crocheting over the side of the stitch, and that's your single crochet, all right, in the brown row. Now I'm talking rows now, okay, so single crochet in the brown row. We're going to do a single crochet in your first grey space that you see right there, and that's just 1. Then from here, you're going to skip that, let's bring it up, that kind of a bubbled edge, yeah, that's your back loop only of the last stitch. You're going to skip that and you're going to go into that big space right there, yeah, into the big space. Before you do, if you've got a grey here, just pop the grey at the back and do your single crochet. If you don't have the grey tail, don't worry about it. Okay, so that's single crochet 1 and single crochet 2. All right, like, whoops, I've got a tail here. I'm going to pop my cream tail over it. 2. All right, we're going to skip that ridge, go into the big space, and you don't have to go into a stitch there if you don't want to. You can go into the big space, that's all right, and single crochet 1 into the big space, 1 into the next smaller space, skip that ridge, 1 into the big space, 1 into the next space, skip that ridge. All right, 1 the big one, and 1 into your next. So all you have to remember is 1 into the next 2, skip 1, and then 1 into the next 2. That is all you need to remember for this. Skip 1 and 2. Skip 1 and 2. And I'll talk about why we're skipping here later. Skip, I think I've got a tail coming up soon. 1, and when I do my second one, there's a tail. I'm just going to pass it. Actually, I might leave it. No, wait a minute. Take that first one out. I might pass that tail right over here. So my first one, I'm going to grab that tail and pass it over like so. 1 and 2, but before I do the second one, I'm going to pass that second tail. If you don't have tails, that's all right. But just make sure your tails land at the back. All right, so skip 1 and 2. Skip 1 and 2. And that's how simple this row is. The only difficult part is all the tails that you have, yeah? But everything is simple. Skip 1, 2, skip 1, 2, and if I'm going fast for you, you can slow down your video. Skip 1 and 2. Skip 1. Before I put my hook in and do the stitch, I'm going to grab that cream thread and do my 1. And the second one, right there, I'm going to grab the grey. See that grey thread? Passing it at the back, and do my second one. If you don't have threads, that's fine. So what we're going to do, skip that area, do 1 into the grey. So what we have here, we have all of this area here. Initially, we should just be putting 1 single crochet in there, but it's kind of like you've got the stitch and then you've got the chain row. So what I like to do here is single crochet 2 together. So let's bring that up a little so you can see what I mean. It's into the stitch. Let's pass that grey at the back and pull a loop through into the chain, and let's pass all those browns at the back and pull that loop through, and you've got 3 loops. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. All right, so you initially have 2 together, so you initially have 1 stitch, but it's closed it all up so that it doesn't stick up. All right, and that you'll notice that if you just put 1 in the end and then you turned, you'll have something sticking out there. All right, so you're chaining 1, and then you are going to flip your piece, and you're going to work along the edge where all your tails are, but they're facing down now, and they should be out of your way completely. All right, so all you're doing here, you're not doing back loops, front loops, anything. All you're doing is single crochet in that very same stitch that you are in, like that. Grab your stitch marker and pop it in that stitch. Yeah, and then you're single crocheting in every stitch all the way across. Very basic. All right, so easy, and I'll show you exactly where I'm going. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going into the stitch with 2 loops on top. I'm so used to doing fast that I forget that there are people out there who are new to crochet. I tend to forget. All right, so if you want to slow your video down now, you can, but I'm going to pop this on fast until we get here, and I will meet you there in just a moment, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, how did you go? I'm on my second last stitch right there, and we're going to do a single crochet into the last stitch like so. Remove that stitch marker if you can. Chain 1, flip your work. I'm only going to turn it around a bit because mine's all tangled up here. You've chained 1 and now you flip your work however you usually flip it. All right, single crochet in the same stitch. Replace your stitch marker and into the very next stitch right there with a single crochet, and that is pretty much it all the way across. All right, so I'm going to hold it there for a minute because I want to show you something, but before we do, just grab a little stitch marker and pop it in your loop. That just stops it from coming undone if you walk away and pull your work here. The reason we skipped these ridges here is because with the stacked double crochet that you do in the beginning of the row, or stacked single crochet, whatever you want to call it, standing double crochet, there are so many names for it. What it does is it stretches your work a little bit, but it does make the closing section a lot neater. So I figure instead of doing a single crochet in each stitch across, which would have stretched the whole piece out, I skipped these back loop, the top ones, all the way across. All right, that was my reasoning behind skipping them, just so that we can tighten up our piece a little. Now, before you go, I'm going to ask you to complete this last row of single crochet on this side, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next in a minute. But before you go, just flip your work. If you don't have any tails, just go to that time right there. That's just talking about completing. All right, but if you don't have any tails, go there. But for the rest of us who have tails, we're going to do one, and I'll do the lighter ones because it'll be easier to see, like the cream will be easier to see. Okay, so all you did was literally pull your thread backwards and crochet around it or on top of it a little bit. So what you need to do now, so this doesn't come undone because we don't knot here at Wow Crochet Designs, well, not when we're changing colours anyway, you need to go back and do a few rows of of slip stitching your thread all the way through, or weaving your thread all the way through. Make sure you can't see the needle from the front, and just literally hide that tail. Now this one here, let's bring this up a bit, I pulled across this way because I have another one which I'll pull across that way. This is going to be the inside of your pocket. No one's going to see what it looks like. So if you just want to do a few threads all the way across and leave a thread hanging out, it's your prerogative. But for me, I'm going to weave that tiny little bit more like so. Just turn it over. Yeah, perfect. And weave it through like that. And then go back in the direction that we came from, but you know, skipping a little thread. Go back in the other direction, just finding some different threads to go into. That seems really thick. Just check the front, make sure it's not gone through. Nope, beautiful. Right there. All right, I would go a third time normally, but I'm going to leave that there. I would still go a third time for you if you like. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Once again, I did say that we are going to have this inside the pocket and no one's going to see it at all. All right, so your job now is to weave in all these ends, yeah? And everybody needs to do the single crochet row all the way across. Get to that blue stitch marker or whatever color you're using right there. Meet me back here and get excited, guys. We're going to work on the opposite side, all right? But in the meantime, just do that single crochet row across there, weave in your ends. I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this row. Now you should have all of your tails weaved in. This section here was a little tricky. There was a whole lot of brown ends. I went across this way and down here. So now we're going to have another end, another tail in a minute too. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? Well, you know, beauty is pain, guys. Beauty is pain. Don't you love it? All right, so here we go. In the very last stitch, you are popping your normal single crochet as you go. Remove your stitch marker, pull a loop through and cut your work. Make sure it is all correct before you cut. All right, don't stress too much if you're one stitch off or one stitch short or whatever. It's okay. It's okay. Won't be noticed at this stage, yeah? I'd rather you not be, but anyway, so there you go. You could actually pop your stitch marker in there if you like. You don't need to. You won't need it yet. You'll need it later. But what you want to do though, and this is something that you need to do because it has to be on the same side. So what I want you to do is, that's the right side of our work. So we started down here, we went across here, row 1, turned, row 2, turned, and row 3. So your row 1 must be on this side, on the opposite side, all right? So what I want you to do, just keeping your, let me move everything out the way, it's going to take forever to do. Just keeping your work flat. Just run your, we're going to work from here. So just run your fingers along this side like this. Just this side, all the way across. All the way across. And that is exactly where we need to work. Don't turn it around, don't do anything. Just hold it steady. I'm going to pull the yarn out. The yarn's everywhere now. Got caught up. All right, so there you go. All right, so instead of putting your hook where your tail is at the moment, you're popping your hook on that opposite side right there where that really tight stitch is there. That's where you want to pop your hook into. All right, so grab this thread, pop it over your hook, pull the loop through, and we're going to bring this up a little. Chain 1. So remember before when we did our 2 together at the top stitch there, because this was our base row, we're going to do that again. All right, so we're going to pop our hook in that stitch right there, pull the loop through like so, and then pop it in the space of the brown, we're crocheting over our tail, and pull that through, and you've got 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that's your 2 together of the brown. All right, so grabbing your stitch marker, popping it in that stitch there. Grab that brown tail now and just pop it at the back. And then you are popping 1 single crochet in this space right there. Yeah, skip that thick area. Remember that part that we're skipping? Yeah, go into the, this is on the opposite side now. So this will be the smaller space right there. And this will be the bigger space there. So that's your 2. Skip that ridged area, go into the small space, and then go into the larger space, skip the ridge. All right, so continue doing that all the way across, 2 across, skipping that ridge. Yeah, 2 across, 1 and 2, skipping the ridge. 1 and 2, skip. 1 and 2, and skip. All right, so that's pretty much it all the way across. Okay, so I will keep this going now if you like. I won't pop it on fast, we'll just do it like this. All right, and 2. 1 and 2. Jump over. 1 and 2. Jump over. 1 and 2. Jump over. 1, 2. Over. 1, 2. You can either slow down your video or, speed it up a little. Skip. 1 and 2. It's whatever helps you with your crochet. Skip. 1. We're getting close now. And 2 for the grey. Yeah. Skip, and you're putting 1 in the grey there and 1 in the single crochet right there, the top stitch, like so. Remove that stitch marker, chain 1, turn your work. All right, so this is pretty much the same as the base, so I'm only going to start you off and then you can head off on your own and do the last 2 rows here. And that's what you're doing, you're just doing 2 more rows. So single crochet into every stitch all the way across. This area is a lot easier, you don't have as many tails, you do have 1 right here. It's the tail we just started with, and I want you to weave that end in as well. All right, so what I want you to do here is simply this. All right, single crochet, and let's do it that way. Single crochet 1 row this way, chain 1, turn, single crochet another row this way. Get here, go 1 and then 2. Meet me there once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alright, so here we are at the end of our rows. Now I asked you to complete 1 row and then a second row. We already did a first row, so we should have 3 rows of single crochet here. Alright, so what you want to do is cast off. But first, do your last stitch like normal. Pull up a loop, remove that stitch marker and give this a cut right there. All right, that's the end of creating the top part of your pockets. All right, now what I want you to do, we're going to start our pockets. We're going to start getting them ready to create them, if you think about it, right? Even though they're already created. Now that's the front of our work. How we can tell really is by looking at the work and the V's and everything, but also just look at your piece, how neat this section looks. Turn it around and you can see how bubbled that looks. But if you really want to be technical, hold your piece to you. These little V's that you see right here, when you're holding your piece like this, you can actually see the V's. If you had it the wrong way around, the V's that you are normally looking at, you would have to face it towards you to see them. So this is the back of our work, and this is going to be the front of our pocket. All right, I just wanted you to know that part of it. So if you want to get real technical, if you don't want to get technical, I should say, just that thread there that we just cast off with, that is classified as the front of our work. All right, so your pockets, when folded up, should land like that. All right, now you can see stitch markers on mine already because I've already marked mine. But what I want you to do is to grab your measuring tape. Let me straighten it out for now. And you want to measure 10 inches from where we want our stitch marker to go. So measure from 10 inches all the way up, pop a stitch marker in there, count your stitches, okay? Then go over here and count the other stitches on the other side. Now, just being wary with your stitches, they may not count properly because we have this section here. We have these 3 rows here, 1, 2, and 3. So what you want to do is count from there all the way over to where your 10 inches was, or your 25 centimeters. Then do exactly the same. Go over here and you've got your 1, 2, and 3. And then from there, you count all the way there. Once you get that measurement, you count exactly the same further down. Once you get that, you can flip your work, and this is where we're going to start crocheting down here on this end here. All right, so what you want to do is fold your piece like that and get some clamps and just literally do this all the way up. And I don't know, just pop 2, 3, whatever suits you, you know. It doesn't really matter, to be fair, because you're going to work in the stitches, but it's just to hold it in place while you are moving down. Oops, that's a really big one, but I can't find the small ones, but there you go. All right, so do that on one side. So do that just there. Once you've done that on one side, do that on the other side. You can clamp it now, or you can just wait. You don't need to clamp it. You just need to clamp one side for now. All right. So what I want you to do is to do that for the other side. Now I've already done the other side. So I want you to head off on your own. Measure your 10 inches or 25 centimeters. Meet me back here once you have measured everything up, and then we will actually start crocheting once you place 1 or 2 clamps on the right side of your work. That's the right side. You can see how neat that is. That's the wrong side. You can see all the jagged edges, and also your weaving in will be on the wrong side on one of your sides. So that's another way of telling. All right. So do that same to the opposite side, exactly the same. Lay it straight, bring it over this way, do your counting with your centimeters or your inches, and then meet me back here and we will start crocheting the sides. Alrighty guys, so where you should be now is right here for one of our sides. Just one, we only need one for now. And the stitch marker that we have right at the base of our piece, ignoring that first stitch, you're going to pop your hook in the stitch right next to it, and in the stitch on the opposite side right next to it, like that. Remove that stitch marker. All right, I'll just get it close up. So you have ignored that first stitch and you've popped your hook in the stitch of the second one and the second one on the other side. Good? Yes. Grab your new piece of thread, attach it to your hook, pull that loop through like so. Grabbing your tail, pass it forward for a minute because we're just going to lock it into place. So chain 1 in the same stitches that we are in. We're going to pop our hook back through and do a single crochet like that. Pop your stitch marker in that stitch. You're going to need these stitch markers for the next few rows because this is our border rows now. All right, our closing up rows and our border rows. All right, so then all you're going to do is exactly the same thing. Find the very next stitch, which is, that's the stitch we are in. I'm going to have to get a close up for me. I'm not looking at the camera lens. I think I will because I can't see with this brown, and I'm sure you can't either. That's the one we're in. We're going to go into the very next stitch on this side and find the very next, we're in that one there. So find the very next stitch on that side and do your single crochet. Now one side will be tighter than the other because it's the border row. Okay, what we're going to do, let's remove this first one. And it is a tad awkward, all right? It's just the initial first row. After that, it'll be easier. And then you're going to single crochet into that very next stitch. Find the very next stitch on the opposite side. Now you're in that one there, so go over to the very next stitch. A little difficult to see with the brown, but this one side is going to be fairly tight, all right, because we I think that was the base row. And do your single crochet. All right, this is a little awkward. You could be here forever watching me, so I may have to pop this on fast or even get you to do this off air. That might be a better idea. But in the next stitch, and then in the very next stitch, oops, in the very next tight stitch, like so, all the way through. This is obviously the side of the tighter stitches. Okay, so I'm not too worried about it. It's the first row, you know, the first row where we did the chains. Yeah, that's this one. I'm sure of it. You might be on the other side, which is better for you. All right, I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me fight these stitches to get through. Oh, there. Did I split it? No, we're okay. There. All right, so your job now is to do just that. Making sure that you are getting into every stitch on the back, every stitch on the front. You're going to get up right up to, let's just say right up to, I'm going to take mine out because I don't really need mine in, but I will, the very, very top area. All right, so your job now is to, let's bring this out a little more, is to keep going. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me fight these tight stitches. Keep going, single crochet all the way across. You can put your clamps back in there or your clasps back in. Do single crochet all the way across, one on this side, one on the other, all the way through. Get to this little clasp right here, or the clamp, whatever you want to call it, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, now I'm at the end of this section here, and what I did, I actually took off the clamp or the claspy thing because it was in my way, and I calculated that I have, oh come on, you can do this Mary, that I have another 2 stitches, 1 and 2, before those 3 single crochet rows that we did here. So I'm just going to do that first one. Now the other thing I did notice as well, and I'll show you guys, I was going in the actual 2 loops of the stitch, right, like that. Let me try and find one that's easy to get into. The 2 loops like that. You could have just gone right into the base of that stitch if you found that awkward, but literally the 2 loops is where you need to be in, which is really awkward to crochet into. Just know that it's this row only, and you can see the 2 loops on top and 1 loop on the base there. Just know that it's this row only. The other side will be so much easier to do because it's more of a solid side, whereas this is the base edge of your work. Now if you're on the solid side, you're finding yours very easy. Good luck when you get to this side. Do you like that? Good luck. All right, so excuse me Mary, let's continue. All right, so single crochet into that second last or third last or wherever I am. I don't know where I am. Might be the third last. I'm going to take that undone. Let me take that stitch marker out because I can't see the stitches. Can you believe that? All right, so that's the stitch, and there it is right there. And this is the problem when you're working with darker colours to do this. I'm just pulling it through separately because I can't see the stitches. So I think that's the last stitch. It doesn't matter because we're going to go into that one and into the next, like that. In there and in there like that, and there's your 2, and then you've got 1, 2 and 3 left. You're going into the last 3 stitches, so that goes in there. Oh yeah, we're going to go into that stitch there. Again, it's just this section guys, don't stress. All right, there's your second one there, and your second one is there. Oh, that's good. That one's easy to find. It's still tight, but it's easier to find at least. So there, and complete your single crochet. And then you're going into that very last stitch. Let's remove the stitch markers. It's a little awkward. I'm going to take that undone and try it again. I knew I split that yarn. Go into that yarn, last stitch right there, and find a stitch opposite. A tight stitch opposite. Don't you love it? Bonus, we're done. Before you continue, she really fought with that. So before you continue, if you want, and I would suggest doing this, count your stitches across this way. All right, so go ahead and count that now. I'm going to do mine really quickly for you. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. And mine added up to 32. Yours might be 34, 36. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong or right measurement there. The pockets can be as long as you want. Just don't make them any shorter than 32. I mean, think about your hand. Your hand needs to go in there, yeah? Try and keep up to at least 32 stitches. All right, so that's that. So you know, I know there's 32. You might have 34, 36, 38, doesn't matter, yeah? You might have 30, but anyway. So your job now, it's very simple. That's the last stitch. Hello, let's get closer. That's the last stitch we went into. All you're going to do is go into the very next tight stitch and do your single crochet. And that's it. And you're going to do that all the way across. Now, if you're struggling with your stitches, if you want, you can go right underneath the stitch, but that's going to pull and it's not right, yeah? We want to go in the top stitch only right there, okay? So it's a single crochet all the way across now until you get to the other side where you need to do your 32 stitches. Now this is why whatever it is that you come up with from here to here. This is why I asked you to count this way, because when you come right down to this side, let me go up to this side, and I'm dropping everything here. When you go over here, she says as she's struggling, and you put these pieces together, make sure you count from that last 2 stitches there, one on one side, one on the other, as one stitch all the way across to your whatever count you come to right there. That way your piece from there to there is exactly the same. All right, just a heads up. But what we'll do, I'll get you to come to this section right here for me and meet me there, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so single crochet all the way across from here all the way up, get to your next stitch marker just before the end of your pocket or the start of your pocket, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so if you played your cards right, you would be all the way up here for now. Alright, so to be fair, what I did, and this is what I asked you before, count your stitches across, and for me it was 32 stitches for that first section. So I was a little bit smarter over here. I thought, well, if it's going to be 32 there, I'm going to count my 10 from here to here, 10 from here to here, 10 from here to here, that's my 30, and these are my last 2 stitches. So I know that all I need to do is make sure I've got 30 stitches, try 32 stitches across there, all right? So that's neither here nor there. That was just me trying to be super organised, so I didn't have to use those clamps and clasps. I really don't like using them. But here we are, right here, and I think I finished a little too early because you go 1 and 2, and then I've got 1 and 2 stitches left. So I'm going to do my last 2 stitches. Now you would have ended up with a different one. You might have had 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. Not sure what you had, but mine was 32. I did my pockets a tiny, tiny little bit shorter. Smaller because my hands are tiny, so there you go. There's for no reason, to be fair. I just did them a little bit smaller. It was no real reason, even though my hands are a little smaller. They're wide, but they're tiny from here to here, very small, because I'm tiny. I'm really little. There you go. So we've got now the 2 stitches left. Now that's because I need to place 1 in there and 1 in there. All right. So now what you need to do, let's remove the stitch marker in that stitch. Find your first stitch here, right there, and you can see it. And maybe grab that tail and just leave it out for a minute until you pop your hook in the first stitch on the opposite side, if I can find it, which is right there. and it's going to be tight for me because I noticed that all my stitches were tight. They were very tight. There you go. Anyway, so there you go. So grab your tail and just pass it at the back for a minute. We're going to fix that up later and complete that single crochet. All right. Then you go into your second row, which is right there. I'm going to remove my stitch marker now. I don't need it there. There. Second row for this side, and you're in that stitch there. So you want to go into the next stitch, which if anything like mine, it'll be tight. And that's my second row on this section here. So I'm going to pop my third row, which is right here. It's going to be really tight. And I might just, oh no, there you go. It's right there. I might just pop it in the space. We'll see how we go. If it doesn't look good, I'll remove it and pop it in the stitch. I'm just thinking because that section there is a little tight for me. Yep, that'll do. And then you just go right into the next stitch and it's so tight. We're in there. We're going to go right into the next one. All right, so that is pretty much it all the way down to the base of your scarf. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me fight these stitches that are really tight. I'm hoping yours aren't as tight as mine. I did leave a little disclaimer in part 1 saying make sure you don't do that first row tight because of this problem. But there you go. All right, so that's pretty much all you need to do. Single crochet in every stitch. Get to, I don't know, the last 2 stitches before the end of the row here. And I'll meet you there in just a moment because I don't want you to see me fight these stitches. And we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, do that row now and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to the last 2 stitches. To be fair, I struggled to get to those last 2 stitches because it's fairly tight down here, but I did it anyway. So what I want you to do is probably best to remove this stitch marker. See if you can do your second last stitch there and your second last stitch on the opposite side. It's a little awkward. I'm going to remove the stitch marker. It just makes it a little awkward. All right. So what I want you to do, and if you want, you can even pop your hand inside like that to find the stitch if you like. See my finger right there? Yeah. So the second last stitch on this side and the second last stitch on the opposite side there. And then do your single crochet. And then I've got the last 2 stitches here. So one on that side, one on that side, and then there's that one remaining. Remember that one we can't do anything with, all right? So I'm just going to pop, I think I might have split the yarn. I'm going to try it again. Pop, no, still splitting it. There we go. One on one side and one on the other, and complete your single crochet. And that little point there you don't do anything with. All right, if you tried to put a stitch in there, it's just going to stick out and look awkward. Now, the way it is now, if you had to count your stitches all the way across from the base all the way up to the top, you would have 2 stitches less than we started with because we didn't do the points on both sides of our piece. All right, so that's normal. You're chaining 1. You're going to flip your work. And guess what you're going to do? Easy, easy. Single crochet in every stitch. Same stitch you are in for starters. Let's get it close up. So you're here. The same stitch that you're already in, you're going to pop a single crochet, pop your stitch marker in. Super easy. Now this is not going to be difficult at all. You're just going to single crochet in every stitch. Oh, look how easy that is. Oh, my hands are so relieved. So single crochet in every stitch all the way across your piece. Super duper easy, yeah? All right, but I'm going to give you some instructions, all right? You're going to love these instructions. Now, let's bring this out a bit. So I'm going to fold it so that you can see both the pockets, all right? I want you to be able to see both those pockets, and then I'll give you some instructions. So there's the pockets, and I bet you won't be able to see them anyway. So no, you can't. All right, well, let's just assume you can see them. That's the base of the pockets. I'm sorry, that's the base of the pockets, and that's going up one way, that's going up the other. All right, what I want you to do now is to complete this single crochet row, chain 1, turn, and then single crochet again, and so on and so on. And you need to do this row over and over again for 8 rows altogether. All right, so including this row that you've just started, you need to do 8 rows of single crochet in the brown. Meet me back here on Friday and we will complete part 3, which will be the final part of our pocket shawl. All right, so go ahead and complete your 8 rows now. Meet me back here on Friday and we will complete our pocket shawl. Good luck all, and ciao for now.